For more on this, joining us live from Oslo is Glenn Deason. He is a professor of international relations at the University of Southeastern Norway. Thank you for being with us, Professor. Now, the anticipated ground invasion by Israel into Gaza has begun. This is being seen as an escalation. What is your analysis of the current situation?
Well, the ground invasion of Gaza would be an escalation in which neither the Israelis nor the Americans would necessarily be able to control, because as soon as they properly enter Gaza, they would likely be stuck in a very fierce battle with Hamas, and it could likely or would likely spark Hezbollah to attack from the north. It could involve the West Bank, but also possibly some of Israel's neighbors. As we already heard, there's been very fierce rhetoric from Iran to Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Turkey. So I think this could very quickly spiral out of control. So this is something very different from what we've seen before. Also part of the brutality of Israel's attack, which would then possibly make neighboring states take actions which they haven't done before.
Right, and Professor, the US and Israel both condemned the UNSC resolution, the non-binding resolution that was made on the current crisis. Take us through the US's involvement and their support for Israel at this stage.
Well, the United States always, of course, support Israel and protects it at the United Nations. But their main objective has been to prevent any ceasefire. They've been open to temporary humanitarian relief, but that is as far as it goes, because it seems there's two ways of exiting this conflict. One is to find a settlement between the Palestinians and the Israelis, and the other is for Israel to go for a full victory. And it looks like the United States is providing the assistance for full victory. Of course, the huge protests going around the world is problematic for the US. So the rhetoric has changed. They're expressing more empathy now for all the civilians being killed, but the policies will not change. And but again, this is very difficult, problematic, because not only is it possibility of more countries getting involved in this, but Israel and the United States, for its sake, is also alienating a lot of friends and allies by taking this hard stance.
And Professor, Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that this ground invasion will be long and difficult. What does this mean for humanitarian aid entering the Gaza Strip?
Well, it's going to be very difficult to get any humanitarian aid, even if that was desirable. But as we've seen, the cutting off Gaza from electricity, food, water, communications, it indicates that not only are humanitarian supplies difficult, but they're being directly opposed. So this is the problem. Israel would like to see northern Gaza go evacuate down to the south. Now, the suspicion, of course, then a reasonable suspicion would be that they would simply annex that region and perform then a huge ethnic cleansing in which the whole region would be emptied of Palestinians. So there's and if they don't get this, then they would likely continue this bombing. So there's no good options at this point, except for out of the humanitarian crisis, that is, without actually finding a diplomatic solution. And when Netanyahu said they're pursuing every means, it seems every means except the diplomatic one, it would appear.
Professor, thank you very much for being with us on this broadcast and your insights there.
My pleasure.